Nobody? Well, then it's a good thing we're going to learn about it before Purim, right? All right. I'm going to start by reading the story of it. And as I'm reading, I'm going to take breaks. And I'm going to have you guys do a small little skit, I guess, so that I can make sure you understand and we can keep it interactive. Got it? All right. You guys ready? Each of you have a page for notes and a pen. And the younger guys have crayons to color, okay? All right. There once was a beautiful girl named Esther. When her father and mother died, Esther's cousin Mordecai brought her up. Esther honored her cousin by obeying him as a good daughter. Esther lived in Persia, but Esther was not Persian. She was Jewish. Her ancestors came to Persia as prisoners of war. In Esther's day, many Jews lived in Persia. The king of Persia held a huge banquet for princes from all over the world. The men ate apart from the women, who were also banqueting with Queen Vashti. The drunken king ordered Queen Vashti to wear the royal crown and show her beauty. Queen Vashti refused. So, King Ahasuerus, which was the king of Persia, had a banquet with a bunch of men from his land, from his kingdom, and he wanted to show off Queen Vashti. So he sent his servants to go and have her come, so that he could show her off to the rest of his party guests. And Queen Vashti didn't come. She said, "No, I'm not going to come. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to come." Do you guys think that that's something that a queen is supposed to do?
No.
No. Women and queens are supposed to always obey what they're told to do, correct? So that wasn't right of her, right?
No.
Should we find out what happens next?
Yes.
To show that ladies should honor their husbands, the king passed a law which took the crown from Vashti. She was no longer the queen. So because she didn't listen, the king took her crown and he put her away. He says, "I'm not going to take disobedience. You're no longer queen." And he took her crown. Does everybody understand? What's up, Ananda? Why don't you try one of the crayons? Okay. The next part of the story is, a search was made for a new queen. Out of all the beautiful girls in the kingdom, so he called all the beautiful ladies in the town. Let's see. The very last picture there says, King Ahasuerus is in search of a new queen for his kingdom. All females will need to present themselves before King Ahasuerus for approval. So before he chose a queen, he called all the ladies in the town in Persia to come and present themselves for him. And before they were brought to him, they had to go through a purification process. So they had to go and learn how to be a queen. So they had to learn how to be a true lady. They had to bathe in the sweet scents. In the scriptures, it says the time between Vashti and his next queen was about 4 years. So it's not like he just went and said, "I'm done with this queen, I need my next one right now." It was a process that the women had to go through. Does everybody understand that? Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, well, I have jewels for all the ladies, because this is what they would have done in the purification process, is they would have gotten to wear jewelry. So you pick a ring, a necklace, and a bracelet. This was part of them preparing themselves to be worthy to meet the queen, or the king. Is they had to beautify themselves and purify themselves. ladies done with the purification process? We all have jewels and stuff. We're ready to go? All right, let's move on to the next part. Out of all of the girls brought to the kingdom, the king chose Esther as his wife. So I need one girl to volunteer to be Esther. Naomi wants to be Esther. And I need one boy to be king. You want to be king? Okay. Let me give you your crown first, since you're going to crown her your king. Should have done this first. Sorry. All right. And Naomi is now Esther for the rest of our class. Here's your scepter. Okay. The king chose Esther for his wife. He set the royal crown upon her head. Esther did not tell the king she was Jewish because her cousin told her not to. So Mordecai, her cousin who raised her like his own daughter, warned her that she shouldn't tell the king that she's a Jew, that she should keep that to herself. Does everybody understand where we're at? Does everybody understand why he told her not to say that she was a Jew? Benaiah. That's a good, that's right. All right. Cousin Mordecai spent his time at the entrance to the palace to hear news of Esther. One day he overheard two palace servants planning to murder the king. Mordecai sent a warning which saved the king's life. So Mordecai used to listen at the gates of the kingdom every day to hear news about his cousin, or I guess niece, Esther. And one day he heard two people making death threats on King Ahasuerus. Mordecai sent a warning to the king, and because of that warning from Mordecai, the king survived. He knew in time to stop them. And the story says, and the servants were hanged, and Mordecai's name was written in the king's record book. So, because they caught the men before they were able to hurt King Ahasuerus, Mordecai's name was written in the king's diary, which they wrote in every day that said what happened in the kingdom. And Mordecai's name was written in that book as the one who saved him. Does everybody understand? Any questions? No? Okay. Second in command to the king was a rich man called Haman. Everybody bowed when Haman passed by, everybody except one man. As a Jew, Mordecai worshipped only the living God. So Mordecai would not bow down and worship Haman because Haman was only a man. And Mordecai, being a Jew, did not do that. He only worshiped the Most High. Does everybody understand that, or do we have any questions? No? Okay. Haman hated Mordecai so much he decided to kill him and all the Jews in Persia. How dreadful, wicked Haman tricked the king into signing a law that a certain time every Jew in the kingdom would be killed. So Haman went to the king and said, you know, these guys, they don't follow the laws, they don't follow your laws. And you know, everybody in the kingdom should follow your laws because you're the king, right? And the king, not knowing that he's talking about specific people, said, God, yeah, they should listen to me. Let's make a law that if they don't listen, they die. And so through Haman being a serpent, I guess, being backhanded, got the king to sign a law saying that the Jews would die. It was a terrible law. Both Jews and Persians mourned. But remember, God had made Esther queen, and she was a Jew. Would she keep her secret from the king, or would she risk death to try to save her people? What do you guys think she's going to do? Risk death to save her people. What do you think, Benaiah? Anybody else have any ideas of what's going to happen? No? Let's read. Let's find out. God gave Esther a clever idea. She invited the king and Haman to a banquet. There the king promised her anything she asked. Let the king and Haman come to a banquet tomorrow, Esther replied. Then she would tell the king what she wanted. Meanwhile, Haman prepared a huge gallows to hang Mordecai. So a gallows is a big wooden stand where a rope hangs, and that's how Haman wanted to kill all of the Jews. He wanted to hang them all. So while Esther is preparing this banquet for the king and for Haman, Haman is having this device made to kill all the Jews. That night, the king couldn't sleep. Reading the court records, he saw that Mordecai had never been rewarded for saving his life. The next morning, King asked Haman, "What shall be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Haman was delighted. He thought the king meant him. Haman had come to ask the king's permission to hang Mordecai. The gallows were all ready. Now that could wait. Excitedly, Haman poured out his suggestions. Dress the man in the king's robes and crowns. Sit him on the king's horses. Command the royal princes to lead the men through the city for all to see. So Haman said, "I want you to do all these things," because he's thinking the king meant him. I want to sit on the royal horse, and I want to wear your crown and all your royal robes. And then the king says, "Hasten to do so for Mordecai, the Jew," the king commanded. So Haman has to go and do all these wonderful things for Mordecai. Does Haman like Mordecai, guys?
No.
No. Haman hates Mordecai, right?
God.
So now he's got to go and have this big ceremony to lift up Mordecai and for people to know that he did good. How do you think Haman felt as he led Mordecai in honor around the city? He hated Mordecai even more than before. Just wait. Haman may have thought, he'll soon be dead along with all the other Jews. Later that day, Haman and the king arrived at Queen Esther's banquet. "What is your petition?" the king asked. He had not forgotten his promise. Pointing to Haman, Queen Esther told the king all about Haman's wicked plot. "Hang him," the king said. The king passed another law allowing the Jews to defend themselves. They were saved. Mordecai became second in command to the king, and all the Jews rejoiced and gave gifts to one another. Even today, Jewish people remember God saved them through the beautiful Queen Esther. So because the queen had enough courage to go to the king when she wasn't allowed to, the king saved all of her people because of her bravery and because Mordecai taught her that. So what do we learn from Queen Esther, guys?
She stood up for her people. She stood up for things right.
So do you think that's something that you can do when you're at school with people that you're maybe doing things that you're not supposed to? You can stand up for just yourself, right? So the very top picture over there says, "Perhaps this is the moment for which you have been created." That always sticks out to me every time we're reading Esther for me, because she was created and put in the position of being King Ahasuerus' queen for a reason, and that was to save her people. So you guys are here, you guys were raised up in this or just came in later. You are here for a reason, right?
Kind.
Do you think the Most High maybe has something planned for you?
Kind.
I do too. Does anybody have any questions about Esther or Purim? What's up with that?
But I don't get the point. Why do we have Purim? Because Esther?
Because we're celebrating that the Jews were not killed. If Esther would not have gone to the king and said, "Save my people," Haman would have had everybody killed. There would have been no Jews after that. No, none of the 12 tribes. They would have been killed in Persia. So because Queen Esther was courageous, she stepped out of herself and did something selflessly. She saved her people. So that's why we celebrate it, because without Esther stepping up and being courageous, we would have been wiped out that day. Does anybody else have questions? Anybody want to add anything?
It's pretty compact. I mean, the story very, very
shalom to the brothers and sisters online.
Shalom.